segment. Questions to ask in evaluating actions. Now, the first question you've got to ask all the time is it legal? All right, check the legality, and if you assume that laws are generally there for good reasons, then you ought to do what's legal. And I know there's all sorts of civil disobedience and unjust laws and that sort of stuff, and there are arguments that sometimes you have to stand up to the law and throw the tea into the Boston Harbor or that sort of stuff. Okay, but that's a whole other situation. Let's just assume for the present that most laws are generally there for a good reason, and so you ought to obey the law. All right? So if it's legal, it's okay to do it. If it's illegal, boy, you got some problems. You better take a really hard look at this thing. Now, what I want to do under legal is include the codes of ethics of your profession and also the company rules. So those are the things out of the gate. So you got company rules against signing other signature. That's a no-brainer then. Don't sign it. Okay? But there are some other questions you want to ask. And what we've done is called these, there are 4 basic questions, and we're going to call it the gift. All right? That's going to help you, I hope, remember these questions. Okay, first question is it good? It has to do with the goodness. And let me just spell these out for you. It's going to have to do with the goodness. It's going to have to do with I is for integrity, F is for fairness, and T is for trustworthiness. So let's go back to goodness, okay? Is it good for yourself and for others? Now, the opposite of good is whether or not it's harmful, okay? So these are questions you're going to ask. How's this going to benefit me? And by the way, it's not bad to benefit yourself, so long as it's not at the expense of other people. That's a good thing. What is that maxim out of the New Testament? Do unto others you would have them do unto you. Love your neighbor as yourself. If you don't like yourself, take care of yourself. Don't go practicing the golden rule. Okay? Is it going to benefit others? If it benefits yourself and others, wow. That's a good reason for doing something. Okay? Second question is, does it preserve my integrity? Remember? Goodness for G, for goodness, I, integrity. Does it preserve my integrity? And when I'm talking about integrity, I think of 3 things. Usually people talk about integrity, they talk about honesty, and that's good. Yep. If you got your integrity, you're an honest person. But there are a couple of other notions that go with this rich notion of integrity. And one of them is wholeness. I think of integrity comes from integer, a whole number. Okay? And you want to be a whole person. Now, what does that mean, to be a whole person? And I think what it means is the next thing. To be a whole person means to be unified. And that means your goals are aligned. Right? Your goals are aligned. You take a look at the mission statement of a company, and it says, I'm going to help the customers. I'm going to help my policyholders or something like that. Or I'm going to help the people that I am servicing. All right? And you want to do that as a producer or as an agent. You want to help those. And your company wants to help those. And all those goals are aligned. And you don't have a goal over here to take care of your family at the expense of your clients. You don't have a goal here to get rich at the expense of your clients. Your goals, what's good for you, should be aligned with your goals for your clients and your company and that sort of stuff. And that would be integrity. Okay? Next question then, though, is it fairness? Is it fair to all concerned? And I want to suggest that this is a kind of general ethical consideration that holds for all people all over the world. And I could do this, but we don't have time today. But if you take a look at the Golden Rule is practiced by every major religion in the world, which covers the entire globe. And the Golden Rule says basically, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Or don't do unto others as you would not have them do unto you, which is kind of Confucius's rule. But Buddhists have it, Hindus have it, Islam has it, Christianity has it, Judaism has it. They all have a version of the Golden Rule. Now, why is that the case? And I want to suggest it's the case because what the Golden Rule recognizes is that we're all the same. Basically, underneath it, all human beings are the same. And we are rational, And there's a rule of rationality that says the same should be treated the same. If A is like B, and this is good for A, then this is going to be good for B. And this is the way we argue in ethics. This is like this, and this is the good way to act here. And if this is like that, then this is the good way to act here. So all human beings, and look at them. They got 2 eyes, a nose, a mouth, you know, barring some sort of catastrophe. We are all the same, and if it's not good for you, why is it good for me? And if it's bad for you, why isn't it bad for me? So unless there's some relevant difference between us, we should all be treated the same. And this is the basis of the rule of fairness. Everyone should be given their due. Now, determining what's due is a whole other side issue. We'll talk about some other time, okay? But you've all got a kind of implicit knowledge of what's fair in a whole lot of cases. And if you're making exceptions for yourself, you want more than you deserve. Notice deserve is a fairness word. Then you know, all right? That's not right. Now, since we are all the same, and everyone deserves their due, this means that you should not use other people as a means to your end, any more than you would want to be used by others. When you cut through it, there's a whole lot of agreement on this. Don't use me, and don't use others. And that's the fairness thing, okay? So we got goodness, we got integrity, we got fair. All right, we've covered 3. G for goodness, I for integrity, F for fairness, and that brings us to the last one, and that's trustworthiness. Do you keep your promises? Can I trust you to do what you say? Trustworthiness has to do with our being a species of animal who makes promises. Philosopher Nietzsche says human beings are the promise-making animal. Now, that may not sound remarkable, but I want you to think for a moment, what does it take? What does it take to make a promise? All right? And by the way, I can't think of any other animals who are promise makers. They may be, but they're not communicating it to us. All right? What does it take to make a promise? To make a promise means you've got to project into the future. You're going to anticipate something happening in the future. All right? And you are going to act in a certain way no matter what happens. So, to project into the future, and you have to remember the past. You have to remember the promises that you made. All right? So, that's promise making. It's your commitments. And you promise to your clients, all right, that you will look out for their interests, right? This is what relationships are about. Relationships are about promises. And promises, by the way, are what define us. If you go to a party and you meet somebody, you don't ask them about their physical characteristics. You can see those. What you ask them about is what do they do? What's their job? That is what commitments do they have there? Do they have a family? What commitments do they have there? Right? In a certain sense, your promises are what define you, are they not? Your projects are what you are committed to. And in the immortal words of my grandfather, and I guess they weren't just his words, but in the words of my grandfather, if you can't keep your word, what good are you? So, trustworthiness, incredibly important, and your relationships with your clients, all right, defines what that trust implies.